In the realm of expensive mechanical watches, Rolex occupies a distinct place. The legendary models produced by the Swiss company are now considered true status symbols. For instance, having a modern Rolex Day-Date or a classic Submariner says a lot about who you are and your life's accomplishments. However, Rolex has a long history of innovation and leadership in the watch industry. International figures from the fields of commerce, politics, film, and sports have also been spotted wearing Rolex timepieces. Some of the most well-known Rolex owners include Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, Winston Churchill, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, Marlon Brando, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Roger Federer. What makes Rolex such a unique brand that all the world's famous people like to wear it? The caliber of its creation, the material's scarcity. Most importantly, the flawless production procedure of the company ensures accurate and precise performances, making it the one of best watch brands in the world. Now without further ado, let's check out the top 10 most expensive Rolex watches ever sold. Number 10. Steve McQueen's Rolex Submariner, 1967. The sole Rolex that belonged to American movie icon Steve McQueen was offered for sale on June 11, 2009 at the Antiquorum auction in New York. The king of cool himself, Steve McQueen, wore a vintage 1960s Rolex Submariner Ref. 5512 with a gilt dial. In the 1960s and 1970s, McQueen was a major box office draw, and at the height of his career, the highest paid actor in the world. Steve McQueen's watch set a record price of $234,000, despite a preposterous estimate at the time, USD $10,000 to $20,000. A record that, of course, honors the former Hollywood celebrity who once had it. Number 9. James Bond's 1972 Rolex Submariner. On our list of the most expensive Rolex watches ever sold is yet another Submariner. This is the exact watch that Sir Roger Moore wore in 1973's movie Live and Let Die as James Bond. In 2015, the timepiece fetched $365,000 at a Phillips auction in Geneva. For the movie, the watch was heavily modified. The bezel, in particular, was altered to resemble a circular saw. James Bond uses it to cut a rope in the movie, the most recognizable watch in history, with 1 billion people having watched the movie Live and Let Die. The current Rolex reference 5513Q is the most memorable watch prop used in a film, and it is even signed Roger Moore 007 inside the case back. Number 8. Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice. Football legend Cristiano Ronaldo wore this Rolex GMT Master Ice at the 14th Dubai International Sports Conference. It is one of the most expensive new Rolex on the market. It is priced at $485,350, but the price may vary depending on the market price of diamonds at the time of purchase. The white gold Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice is entirely covered in precious stones. The dial features an intriguing diamond and gold wave pattern. The rest of the case is unaffected by the in-house customization. You get the same features and performance as the modern Rolex GMT 2. Including a waterproof case of up to 100 meters and a power reserve of 50 hours. The dial included the traditional GMT second hand for setting a second time zone. Number 7. Jack Nicklaus Rolex Day-Date. In 1967, Rolex presented this yellow gold Day-Date to legendary golfer Jack Nicklaus. He's been wearing it almost every day since then. The Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus, wore this Rolex when he won 12 of his record 18 professional major championships. When Nicklaus hoisted the championship trophy after his victories, the watch was frequently photographed. Rolex's most prestigious model, and one of the world's most famous watches, is the yellow gold Day-Date on a president bracelet. In December 2019, the watch sold for $1.22 million at a Phillips auction. The entire auction proceeds went to Nicklaus Charitable Foundation, which helps children in need all over the world. Number 6. Eric Clapton's Rolex Oyster Albino Cosmographdaytona. Eric Clapton's Daytona, dubbed the Rolex Oyster Albino Cosmograph, sold twice for large sums at public auctions. The first time was in 2003 in New York, when the watch was purchased for $505,000 at a Sotheby's auction. 12 years later, in May 2015, at a Phillips auction in Geneva, Eric Clapton's Daytona was sold for $1.4 million, nearly 3 times its previous price. Aside from its famous first owner, the Rolex Oyster Albino Daytona is unique in that only 4 pieces are available with a single color dial. The Daytona dial typically has 2 colors to contrast the chronograph totalizers with the rest of the dial. Number 5. Marlon Brando's Rolex GMT Master. This Rolex GMT Ref. 1675 worn by Marlon Brando in the film Apocalypse was auctioned off by Phillips in December 2019 for $1.952 million. The Rolex GMT Master from 1972 sold for significantly more than the expected price at the Phillips Game Changers auction. Oscar winner Marlon Brando wore the watch on a black strap with the bezel missing. Francis Ford Coppola had asked Brando to remove the bezel because it was too prominent in the film. Brando carved his name on the back of the watch, making it one of a kind. It was sold after 15 minutes of heated bidding. Number 4 Rolex Antimagnetique from 1942. The oldest Rolex on our list is the 1942 Antimagnetique Reference 4113, which sold for nearly $2.5 million at a Phillips auction in Geneva in 2016. It comes in an unusually large case for its production year, measuring 44 millimeters. It is, in fact, Rolex's largest case ever built. Only 12 references of 4113 examples are known to exist today. The watch was created as a gift to commemorate a racing team's victory. Surprisingly, this model was sold at Christie's just 3 years prior, in 2013, for $1.16 million. It's yet another example of how the value of rare Rolex models has skyrocketed. Number 3 The Rolexbestwatches. The Rolexbestwatches is without a doubt one of the most instantly recognizable models among watch enthusiasts. Based on the Rolex Ref. 6062, this watch was first sold to Vietnam's last emperor of the Nguyen dynasty in 1954. This was the most expensive model in Rolex's collection at the time. The gold case and black dial configurations were the most limited. According to Hodinkee, only 3 were ever made. This is the only piece of the 3 with diamond markers on the even hours. In 2017, the Rolexbestwatches was auctioned off for more than $5.1 million at Phillips in Geneva. The watch had previously been sold at auction. The Nguyen family first sold it in 2002 for $235,000, the highest price ever paid for a Rolex at the time. Number 2. The 1970 Rolex Daytona Unicorn. The price of this 1970 Rolex Daytona, which sold for $5.9 million in 2018, can be explained by its uniqueness and rarity. The reference 6265 is the only model available in 18-karat white gold. That's why it's nicknamed Unicorn. At the time, the vast majority of Rolex Daytonas were made of stainless steel. Aside from its precious metal, the watch's story is intriguing. Few people had heard of it until it was revealed that famous Rolex collector John Goldberger had purchased it. Number 1 Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona. The Rolex Daytona, owned by Paul Newman, is the most expensive Rolex watch ever sold. It easily surpassed the previous record of $11 million, set in 2016, by a 1943 Patek Philippe perpetual calendar chronograph. The first bidder immediately raised the opening bid for Paul Newman's Daytona to $10 million, studding the entire auction room at Phillips. Only 2 bidders competed for the watch, resulting in a final price of $17.8 million. This Rolex Daytona, while relatively well preserved, is neither particularly rare nor made of precious materials. However, watch collectors are most interested in its unique story. Joanne Woodward, Paul Newman's wife, gave it to him while he was filming the movie Winning. If you want more content like this, then don't forget to click that subscribe button.